I want to welcome to the program Emily Miller from the Washington Times. In fact, in our talkbacks, unprompted earlier this evening, Joe in Frederick, Maryland asked, Cam, I may have missed it, but whatever happened with the woman who was trying to get a firearm in D.C.? Oh, she's still trying. Emily Miller joins us from the Washington Times. How you doing tonight, Emily?
Hi, Cam. Yes, still trying. I'm on step 4 of 17 now.
Step 4 of 17? Are you going to be able to get a gun before you retire from the Washington Times years from now?
No, apparently not. No, I will not be.
Wow.
So today, but what I've been struggling with, and what this last one has taken me weeks to get through, is D.C. requires anybody. Again, this is anyone who's owns a gun, ever owns a gun, anything. To register their gun, you have to take their safety class, which is 4 hours in a classroom and 1 hour at the range. And it took me weeks to find someone because, typical D.C., they make it as complicated as possible. And they give you this list when you first go in, which is what I did a few weeks ago to get my paperwork. It's 2 pages of names and phone numbers, and that's it. No addresses, no websites, no credibility, nothing. And they say you can use anybody on this list to take your class.
Right.
So, first of all, I was sort of paralyzed by the situation. Here I'm a woman, unarmed, calling an armed man. I don't know where he is. He's not in D.C. because you can't do this class in D.C. because you can't have a gun in D.C. There's shooting ranges.
We got to stop right there for a second because that to me just demonstrates the intent to deprive residents of D.C. of their constitutional rights. When you require somebody to take a course that isn't allowed to be offered where you live in order to exercise a right, we've got problems, Emily.
I agree, Cam, and as I've gone through this process, everything I've gone through this city has felt just really difficult, but this one has felt like this is an impossibility, and this doesn't feel constitutional to me, because like you said, I have the right to bear arms. This city is telling me in order to do that, of the 17 things, one of them requires I do for an hour at a shooting range, including 4 hours, the same person, the same instructor, 4 hours of class, 1 hour shooting range. But you can't do that in the city because I'm not allowed to own a gun, nor is anyone allowed to bring in a gun, and there are no shooting ranges in D.C. They're illegal.
Right.
So I now as part of this process is I have to go to Maryland or Virginia, and I don't know where. I don't have an address. I don't understand. I literally, truly don't understand how this part is constitutional. I'm struggling with it.
Well,
I did it today, but
so you did finally go. You found a course.
Like a long story short, and if anyone wants to read the whole long story of everything I went through to find a course, it took me weeks. It's WashingtonTimes.com/blogs/guns. So WashingtonTimes.com/blogs/guns, and you can read my stories today on how it took. I finally got this class, and I called the police. Nobody would help me with this. They gave me so much wrong information, phone numbers that were not available. Very unsafe feeling through this whole thing. And most of these instructors on this form are really these fly-by-night people. They aren't affiliated with anything. They don't have a business. They just, guys in flannel shirts smoking on a corner and stick money in your pocket. And I just didn't feel safe going to those and in another state. So finally, through a lot of phone calls, a lot of research, I found someone whose name is not on the list in D.C., of course, because that would be too easy. And her name is Donna Worthy. She is a former Baltimore City cop. She's retired. She has a company called Worth a Shot. It's in Millersville, Maryland. So it's about an hour. It took me about an hour to get there, about 2 hours to get home today. Again, can't do this in the city. Had to take off a day of work.
Well, it's a good thing. It's a good thing, Emily, that everybody in Washington D.C. has their own car. Because that way when they drive out there, an hour away from the city.
I will tell you, there is nobody on their list that is on a metro route. I'm
really?
sure of it. No one. This is impossible. They're not. These people. Name a shooting range that's on a metro route. Anywhere. It is. And yeah, exactly. You have a gun, but exactly. You can do this. That you have a car. You can go to these places, but also that you can take a day off work. And everybody I know who's registered a gun in the city, not that many people because it's so hard, has taken several days off work in this process. Luckily, the Washington Times lets me do this for my job, so I could do that today. But otherwise, it's 5 hours total. Plus, if you live in the city, it takes you at least an hour to get to any place in Maryland or Virginia. So it's a 7-hour ordeal.
Wow.
Again, required. But I will say it worked out really well for me, and I'm going to tell everybody I know to go to Worth a Shot. It is worth a shot. It's worth it, because as ridiculous as it is to spend 4 hours in a classroom to learn the rules that are given to you in a packet of paper from D.C., which is basically all the specifics of the law of D.C., and the basic fundamentals of gun do not take 4 hours in classroom. Donna basically teaches you her fundamentals course, and she was a firearms instructor for Baltimore Police, so she knows her stuff. Her husband's in the police force now. She's been doing this for years. She has male and female instructors, so anyone doesn't want to go to a woman, all kinds. It's a really great outfit. They have their own business. It's incorporated. You get a receipt. You get a contract. There's a storefront. All the stuff that I couldn't find anywhere else, where you have someone who's just doing it on their own. You meet them at the shooting range. So she gave me a great fundamentals course, because it just doesn't take 4 hours to go through a pack of paper I've had for a month. And, gave me some really good hints and teaching me how to stand, how to hold it, how to shoot, how to aim, things I hadn't learned before. It was really interesting for me in that sense. Everything in the packet from D.C. I'd learned. And then we went to a shooting range, which was about 20 minutes away, and an hour at the range. She said that D.C. only requires that you basically can handle the gun, which means she says basically get on the paper. But she, obviously being a real instructor, says I want you in the bullseye. So we went through 4 different guns. I mean, what I got was not what D.C. requires. This is above and beyond. So I had a really great experience.
And what's interesting, Emily, is that D.C. requires this, even if, let's say you grew up on a ranch in Texas and you moved to D.C. As a 24, 25-year-old wanted to become a gun owner. It doesn't matter what your familiarity is with firearms. They say that in order for you to exercise this right, you have to jump through this hoop, right?
Well, exactly, Kim. And, let's be clear. If I was in SEAL Team 6 and shot Osama bin Laden,
right,
and very likely, as the Pentagon is here, moved to D.C. and wanted to carry my firearm, I would have to sit through 4 hours of classroom instruction.
Oh, not carry. You can't carry.
No,
you
not
can
to
carry
carry
around
I'm
your
sorry.
home.
To
but
have it in my house.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. I should be precise. And I was on Twitter a lot today, which is at Emily Miller. People want to read back of what I was saying. But a lot of people just presume when I tell all these stories that I'm trying to get a concealed carry permit, and they think that D.C. has the most difficult laws. And I keep explaining to them that no, this is to own a gun to keep in my home, that I'm not allowed to take out of my home unless going to the shooting range. And at that point, which I learned all this in class today, I have to put it in my trunk. I can't have ammunition anywhere near it. I have to have it locked. There's a whole bunch of other rules I've learned. But exactly, this is just to have registered gun. And again, if I was SEAL Team 6, killed Osama bin Laden in the dark in Afghanistan in his house, and wanted to have a gun in my house, I would have to sit through 4 hours of class and 1 hour of shooting.
It's just unbelievable.
Just to have my gun in my house.
So how long have you been working on this process, Emily? Has it been a month now?
It's been a month, yeah. I mean, I knew it would take a while. I guess I didn't think it would take as long as it did. And again, this has been the biggest hurdle, is this safety class, they call it, because they really go out of their way to make it difficult for you. At one point when I first got my paperwork, they handed me a piece of paper. This is at the gun registry office, which are police. Mm-hmm. They handed me a piece of paper and had 4 business cards on it. And they said, these are the best people to take the class. Again, they have a list of 47 names and phone numbers, which gives you no information whatsoever. So I took the 4 cards. Of them, 2 of them were not on the list at all. So they're not even certified. They're no longer around.
Okay.
One of them was Ricardo. So the third one is on the list. And apparently, I've known other people have called, and they keep referring to this one guy, Ricardo, Rico, something like that. But they always refer to him. So I'm sort of thinking he must be a cop. And then the 4th is Atlantic Guns. The owner and another name scratched out. I called them. They were like, we don't offer this course. I don't even know why you're calling. But they're the ones who referred me to Donna. But again, the police gave me 1 sheet of paper with 4 business cards on it. One of them on there is actually a certified instructor. I called and I said, look, I've looked at the sheet you've given me. Are these you recommend? And they said, yes, all those names match. And I was like, no, they don't. They don't match. And, I went back and forth with a cop the second time on the phone going, I'm trying to find someone. How do I find it? And he said, you have to Google. I said, I've Googled all these people. I don't know who they are. I don't feel safe going to them. Their names don't show up. Their addresses, businesses, nothing. And really, I got nothing from them. And so it was just by luck and going through a bunch of phone calls that I found this one person who does have a business, who is legitimate, and who is a very safe place to go and really knows what they're doing. So that's why, I want to the goal of this series is to illuminate what's going on in D.C. and how they're stopping people from getting guns, and I don't think, in my opinion, adhering to the Supreme Court decision in Heller. But also, at the end, and as I'm going along, I'm showing people the easy ways through this.
Wow.
I'm going to go through the long way. It's going to take me the longest. But hopefully at the end, I'm going to say to you, here's a place. Call Donna at Worth a Shot. This will be your quick way to do it. You don't have to go through the whole list.
Well, listen, Emily, I'm glad you could join us tonight. Best of luck to you with Step 5. And
Thank you.
And I look forward to having you back on again soon.
Me too, Cam. Take care. Thank
All right.
you.
Emily Miller joined us from the Washington Times, trying to exercise a constitutional right in our nation's capital. She's a month into the process, and she's on step 4 out of 17.